Hello and welcome to 3D modeling video number 72. In my previous video, which was my first Photoshop tutorial, I showed you how we can create a tiling texture. And here is that same texture. Here it is applied to a tiling piece of geometry in 3ds Max. And you can see the obvious problem is the obvious repetitious nature of the tiling texture. So it's tiling, and you can tile across huge amounts of geometry, but this obvious tiling will interrupt, kind of break your suspension disbelief and make it look too artificial. So we're going to go ahead and fix that in this video. And it has a very simple way to fix it. So here is the standard material, and here is the basic bitmap. Here it's set to 5.5. We can change it to 10.10. In this case, the tiling, the repetition becomes even more obvious. Let's go ahead and leave it at 5.5. And it's actually very simple. What we do is we click on this bitmap and we change it from bitmap to composite. It's going to ask us if we want to discard the old map or keep the old map as a submap. If we choose the top option, it will go ahead and remove this bitmap, and we'll just start with a fresh composite map texture. And if we choose to keep the old map as a submap, it will keep this map for us. So I want to go ahead and keep this. And here it is. So this is a composite map. A composite map holds other maps together, and it combines them in various ways. So first of all, if you used to work in Photoshop, these are the blending modes right here. The same ones that they have in Photoshop. Ones I like to use include multiply, overlay, soft light, value, color, saturation, hue, and a lot more. Here we have three options. We can delete this layer, we can rename it, or we can duplicate it. Here's the opacity, which tells 3ds Max how much of this layer will be visible. So if we set it to 50%, then it will be only half visible. On the left here, we have our actual texture and our preview. And you can have many more things inside of here. On the left here, we have a set of eyes. If we click on them, and if it becomes darkened, that means that this layer will be hidden. If we click on it again, it will be visible. Here we have something called color correct, which if we click on this, our bitmap will go inside of here, and we can apply various modifications to our texture. We can make it monochrome, we can invert it, custom, we can change the hue shift, which means we can make it a different color. We can kind of, just like in Photoshop, we can change the hue, and we can change the saturation, we can change its brightness and change it to advanced, and there's many more settings here. So this is a quick way to, if you have a bitmap texture and you think it's too bright, you can quickly change that here, or change its contrast as well. If you want to get rid of this color correction, you can do is you can click and drag your child texture right here and then change it to copy, and it will copy over that and we'll get rid of that. So now we just click on here and it's a regular bitmap. So to navigate between this, you just click on these two arrows here, go to parent, and then go forward to sibling. So if I just click on up, go to parent, it's going to take it back to my original material, and then if I click on here, it'll take me to my map, my texture. So on the right here, we have the same three options as here, except this is for the mask. The mask, just like in Photoshop, is a grayscale image, and the brighter the pixel, the more of this will show up. So this is our current tiling texture. Here it is right here. It's 2048 by 2048. So here's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and click on this button here, which allows us to duplicate this layer. Now we have two of the same layers. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and create a mask. So we'll click right here where it says none. And for the mask, you can use a procedural map. So you can use something like noise, smoke, speckle, and various other ones, waves. I'll go ahead and choose noise. So this is a type of procedural map. A procedural map is generated by an algorithm, a procedure. It's generated by parameters. So basically, when you change a number here, you change the texture. I'm going to click on this button right here, Show Standard Map in Viewport, and this is actually going to show the mask that we have in the viewport. And I can go ahead and go to click here and change it to flat. So this is where the flat view mode comes in handy, and you can see what it looks like without any of the geometric detailing getting in the way. So right now this mask is too soft. I'll go ahead and change the noise type to fractal, and I'll change the size from 63.5, the default, to something like 10. And I'll go ahead and change the noise threshold high to about, I'll lower that down. You can see it makes some parts brighter. Let me try 0.85. And maybe I'll increase the low threshold. Alright, so here is our mask. And what a mask does is it will allow us to show certain parts of this texture and also hide certain parts. So everywhere that it's bright here, everywhere that it's white, it will be shown, and everywhere that it's black, it will not be shown, and different levels of gray will show different amounts. So if I right click and clear this, I want to go ahead and give it a V-Ray color, for example. I want to make it bright red. And whenever I'm testing out my mask, I always use just the basic red color so I can see exactly where it's going to go. And I'll click on Show Standard Map in Viewport. This is going to show what all these maps will look like combined. And this can take a little bit of time to set up because you might have a huge amount of maps here. So, according to the mask, everywhere the brighter the pixel, the more red will show up here. So you can see this is what's happening. And you can see if I click on Show Standard Map in the Viewport under my mask map, and here is my mask. So this time, instead of red, I'll click and drag my original texture right here. I'll now click on it, and I'll set the tiling to, let's say, 6 by 6. Maybe I'll change the offset a bit, and maybe I'll rotate it. Let's see, 20. Maybe 45. I'll rotate a little bit, and I'll go back. So now what we've got going on is we have another tiled texture, except we've changed a few settings. We've changed the offset, tiling, and the rotation, and we have a mask now. And so if I click on Show Standard Map in the Viewport, you can see that it has eliminated the repetition. And sometimes what you see here is not the final result. You can see the final result when you actually render it. What you see here is an approximation for optimization purposes. You will usually not see the final resolution of your textures. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's rendered later on. So basically, about 2 to 3 layers of the same texture with a mask and with different settings will allow you to remove the obvious tiling patterns. So I'll go ahead and duplicate this again. And as you can see, it's taking a little bit because we've got this turned on, so I'll go ahead and turn this off. And this time I'll go ahead, first of all, change the mask a little bit. Maybe change the phase. Maybe change the size a little bit. I'll go ahead and also change the texture. I'll make the tiling this time 4 by 4. Change the offset a bit. Maybe make it rotate by 90 degrees. Or let's say 110. Maybe I can, decrease the opacity, for example. But I'll go ahead and keep it at this. And now I'm going to go ahead and render it, and we'll see what it looks like. So here's just a quick render. There's no fancy effects here, but you can see that there's no obvious text repetition. So this is exactly what we wanted to accomplish. And you can use this technique to cover large pieces of geometry. You can use this to texture large patches of land, and that way when you're looking at it from above, from far away, you can see there's no obvious repetition. And this is a great method for doing that. Just go ahead and create a composite map, and go ahead and create various layers here. Change the mask, change the tiling, the rotation, the offset, and you will have a great tiling texture. Thank you for watching, and take care.